Chapter 5. Team Up, Part 1. Previously on Avengers. The Dark Hunters began their attack on the alternate Earths and bore witness to the kind of heroes that have stepped in to oppose them. Response to this unexpected development, the leader decided to transport all the heroes to Symbionic Titan's Earth, and has ordered his forces to cease the attacks. Once he takes care of them all in one place, he'll go back to the invasion. So no, we'll get to see them meet each other. This begs the question, will they get along? Let's see and find out. In this chapter, it will focus on the meetings between the following: Rex, Max and Steel, Star and Marco, Jake, and Tigra. Don't forget to leave reviews. Enjoy. Symbionic Titan Earth. Lance, Alana, and Octs have been tangling with the Dark Hunters that have been invading their chosen home. It was truly difficult for them to try and defeat them all, but fortunate G3 forces that Solomon sent arrived and aided the three of them to combat the threat. They suffered casualties, but so did the enemy, and it was all nothing but an intense show. Lance deployed his Amar sword and sliced apart almost every tank in his sight. Alana's lasers struck many of them, making huge explosions. Though the princess detested Vio, she knew it was the only appropriate action to take, especially given the current situation, a situation that she hoped would end soon. Octs, the ever-loving robot that he was, electrocuted most of the Dark Hunters with his shock blast, which was very useful. The G3 soldiers had their orders clear. They were to aid the Titan trio in keeping these things in area in order to prevent him from going through to the city. These things just keep on coming. Lance shouted in frustration. As long as that portal is still open, their numbers will continue to grow. Octs concluded, using his strength to shove one straight into it. I'm not sure how long we can be able them away from the city, should they receive more reinforcements. Alana looked down and saw a G3 soldier get surrounded by Dark Hunters. Though he tried to valiantly fight them off, the beings surround him and his squad, and unfortunately they torn apart. They didn't even have a chance to scream for help. No. She shouted in horror. She saw more start to lose their lives and she couldn't bear to see any more. Turning machine that was giving the portal its power, she started firing at it with her lasers. If the machine is the reason for all of this, then it needs to be destroyed. Though her lasers were strong enough to pierce through anything, they weren't strong enough to damage the machine, for it was projected from a field of energy. Much to her, there's too many of them. Lance shouted, struggling to keep a squad of them from injured G3 soldiers. We can't hold out much longer, we'll have to. In an unexpected events, the Dark Hunters began to move away from the three of them and from G3. Odd thing was that they were pulling back. Retreat? The corporal questioned in confusion. This was unexpected. Octs admitted, then his yellow optic caught sight of something. Wait a second, guys, it looks like something else is coming from that portal. He observed more hostiles. Lace asked, readying his arm guns in case there were more threats that would come out of the vortex. It's hard to say. Octs admitted, they don't share the same biosignal of the aliens we encountered. I detect about 15 life signals that are about to. Before Octs could, the portal unleashed a bright and blinding light that made them and the G3 soldiers shield their eyes. The intensity of the light was unexpected, and they didn't know what to think. Alana opened one eye slightly, and she didn't know if it were her mind playing tricks on her, but she could faintly see 15 silhouettes that were coming in hot from the portal, and heard something. It sounded like screaming. She closed her eyes before she could make out their physical appearances. After a moment or so, the light died down and the Titan G3 soldiers could see again. In a completely weird turn of events, the Dark Hunters were all gone, but the portal was still active. Okay, what just happened? Lance asked. Break silence. They all retreated. Alana replied with a stunned expression. Just like that? Lance said with a lot of doubt. They attempt to invade and decide to cut their losses and leave? He asked as he and Alana deactivated their armors. Since President, there was no threat. If that were the case, then the portal would have closed. Octs pointed out, observing the still open portal. Cautiously, the advanced robot approached it and touched the foe with his holographic hand. HM. He mused. With Alana and Lance, they tended to the wounded G3 operatives that were still present. Are you okay? The princess asked in concern, helping the soldier up. Yeah. He said through a strained voice. Just need a little trip to the med bay. Those things really packed a punch. Solomon should know of what happened. Lance, checking the pulse of one knocked out soldier. Way ahead of you, Lance. They looked up and saw a G3 ship and landed close to them. Opening, Solomon came out with another squad of operatives. When the signal was low, assume that you all had taken care of the threat. He told them and looked up at the portal. The aliens might be gone, but something tells me that this is far from being over. To one of the operatives that was fighting the battle. Lieutenant, how many are wounded? The soldier stood at attention of his superior. Sir, about 40 or so have sustained injuries. Then his tone turned somber. And the number of casualties, well, that seems obvious. Solomon briefly looked down, as a sign of respect for the fallen soldiers. Take your wounded back to our headquarters. You're done for the day, he instructed. Yes, sir. The lieutenant saluted and carried on his orders. The mysterious head of G3 moved towards his Galilean allies. So, mind filling me in on the creatures that tried to invade? He questioned. That's the thing, we have no idea what they were. Lance replied. I've been on a few off-planet missions back on Galiluna. I've seen my fair share of odd aliens, but never like a landing ordered in agreement. They had technology we've never seen before, and that portal was giving them away in. But then they just stopped and retreated. Lance rubbed his chin and thought. Maybe this was a trial run of some sort. He theorized. They wanted to see what kind of resistance they might combat with and went back to a group. A sound suggestion. Solomon agreed. But it does beg the question. Will they come back? That query increased everyone's present worry. But it was a God question. Things might have gotten quiet for now, but there was no telling when they would strike again. In the meantime, they would just have to wait to see if anything else will come through the portal. But for Ilana, something already did. At least she was almost convinced that the princess wasn't sure if those images she saw and those screams she heard were real or not. Ox did say he detected 15 signals from the portal. But was it those aliens? Or so not entirely. Sherman, he couldn't see anything, or hear anything. His mind was kind of hazy, to be honest. He felt like he just went through the fastest roller coaster or jet airplane any person has ever made. His coherent thoughts go haywire, and he couldn't remember how to get to where he is now. It was also confusing to process. All that he could feel was a rush of fresh hair blowing against his face. The sudden rush he felt earlier was enough to make him go to sleep, and nothing could wake him up. Max! Max! A familiar voice shouted to try and get his attention. Well, nothing except his alien best friend who has been trying to get him to regain his consciousness since he reactivated from his brief state of being in stasis. Opening his eyes, blinking his eyes rapidly, Max saw that he was no longer in Copper Canyon but free falling from high up in the sky. What? He yelled in shock. Steele, what happened? In panic. Where are we? I don't know. Steele retorted. All I remember was some aliens shooting at us and then that portal thing sucked us in. Oh, and you're falling about 100 feet to ground, so not to rush you or anything, but no would be a great time to go turbo. The robotic Ultralink told his human partner, pointing to the solid grassy surface he was about to crash into if he didn't get his act together. Right. Go turbo. Strength. He shouted as he transformed into his turbo strength mode. He collided with the solid ground with huge amounts of force, resulting in a high crater in the middle of it. Now, he slightly groaned. Even tough his new mode took most of the blunt force of the collision, it still somewhat stuck just a tiny bit. In hindsight, mode would have been better. You think? Steele dryly retorted. Now, where are we? Max looked around his surroundings. It looked like he was inside a forest, but he was confused as to how he got here. We're in a forest. Max went to his comset. Dad Ferris. He tried to ask to see if they would respond, but all he got was nothing but static. Berto? Mom? Is anybody foreman reading me? Once more, his only answer was static. No signal. He noted. That's strange, how comms always manage to get a signal, even from underwater. I've got a better question, Steele told him. How in the heck did we go from Copper Canyon to all the way to a forest of all the places? Not sure. Max replied. Last thing I remember was that we were fighting off those weird aliens that were attacking our city. He tried to recall more of that experience. Then, happened, for some reason they retreated, but then the portal, it struck us. Steele nodded slowly, starting to remember as well. Yeah, that's right. It started pulling us in. He said. The portal must have transported us somewhere. He deduced. So it's they came from. I'm not so sure destructive aliens came from some kind of forest. Max countered. At the very least, we should try and find out more about this place. Steele rubbed his torso. You make a good point. He admitted. But first. He united with Max's chest, making the steel suit go into camouflage mode, making it look like the teen normal clothes. Just in case, he explained. Good thinking. Max complimented as he started to trek through the woods. He wondered if anyone else was near him. Oh, Rex groaned as he slowly started to wake up from his brief nap. Rubbing his head to ease the migraine that was making his head ache, he stood up from his former what in the world? He questioned in confusion as he began to see his current surroundings, a green forest environment that made him even more confused. What the? How dear? He questioned. Last thing he remembered was that he along with his Providence allies were fighting against crazy insane aliens that was tearing up the city like it was no problem to them. Fight, they started to fall back. He had assumed that they were giving up, but then the portal struck Rex and pulled him inside. And now he was here. The EVO out his fingers to his earpiece in an attempt to signal for help from his friends. 6, do you copy? Unfortunately, he only got static. 6. Hello? He tried again, but on the other hand was picking up at all. Bobo. Holiday. I'll even take night. He shouted in frustration. But the teen only got more static. So to recap, he's all alone in a forest and has no way to contact his friends. And they could potentially be fending off against an army of destructive aliens right now. Guessed only one course of action to take. Forming his Rex ride, he puts his goggles on and rode off to find any trace of civilization, hopefully one that had a telephone or any kind of. Noah would love this. Rex Driller commented. Star. 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 The Mument Princess opened her eyes with a loud gasp and used her wand to fire an intense purple energy that nearly hit Marco, making him fall out of the way as to knocking the destructive blast of magical energy. Oh my goodness, that was close. He yelled with wide eyes, putting his hand to his chest. Marco! Star exclaimed in horror, putting her wand on once she realized that it was her friend. Oh, I'm so sorry. She apologized, hugging him. I didn't know what was going on minute I was blasting monsters. And then, hey, take it easy, Star. Marco soothed, rubbing her hair gently. You were knocked out and I just wanted to make sure that you were okay. He told her. You might wanna see her. He gestured to the forest area that he saw and he woke up before her. Something tells me we're not in Kansas anymore. Kansas? Star repeated with a confused look. I thought we were in Echo Creek. Wait, is that where we are right now? She asked, looking around. Thought there'd be manned farm animals. Marco shook his head. No, what I mean is that we're not in Echo Creek or Kansas. In fact, I'm not really sure where we're exactly. Oh, then why did you say we were in Kansas? Her best friend face-palmed with a sigh. He always had to explain metaphors to her that were from Earth. It's just an expression. He exasperated. Now last I checked, we were crazy, armored guys with laser weapons. He recalled. Star followed after him. Yeah, that's right. It was like those movies you had me see about people from like beyond the stars or something like that, and they like come down to Earth. And conquer. Don't forget about conquer. Marco reminded her. That portal that they all came from started wigging out just when they seemed to be going back to wherever it popped out from, but then it hit us somehow. We were completely inside that thing and now we're here. He surmised. Just, don't where here is. I don't remember Echo Creek having a forest like this. Star said. Marco rubbed his chin with a thoughtful look. Maybe because we're not in Echo Creek. He guessed. We could be miles from home. Star grabbed his arm and dragged him along. Well, come on Marco. We're not gonna get back home by just standing here. She told him as she ran with him. At least let go of my arm. Marco replied as the two friends walked on by themselves. A deer had just struck into a river where it tasted the water. It then got the sight of what looked like human. He appeared to be uninjured and was wearing orange armor and hard black hair. It licked its cheek out of pure fascination, causing him to open his eyes slowly. Ugh, he softly groaned as he groggily sat up. Looking around his surroundings, Saturday rubbed his head. Seeing that he was awake, the deer ran off. Where am I? He asked. Last thing I remember was alien attack, and his eyes widened and now he saw on full alert as he remembered what happened. He took out his communication device. Mom? Dad? He asked, trying to see if they would respond, but got a screen that said no signal detected. What? That can't be, this thing's always gets a signal. Zack pounded it palm to try to get it working, but it just repeated the same thing. Great. He mumbled. Okay, think Saturday, what's the one thing your parents taught you about surviving in an unknown environment? The young scientist remembered back when he was a kid, he would often get lost in the even as he gets separated from his family. After each time, both of his parents taught single thing. And it wasn't don't talk to strangers. Find intel. He said as Ray ran off into the forest. Along the way, he wondered where Ben was and hoped that he was okay. Woo! Jake Long screamed as he was falling from high feet in the air, after getting struck by the portal while he and his friends were fighting those odd creatures that were attacking a park. Now he was falling, almost close to the ground that was located in the forest area. And to think, just a few hours ago he was just skateboarding with his friends. Dragon up! He shouted, transforming into his dragon form, allowing him fly off before he could make contact with the ground. Oh man, that was way too close even for me. Gasped. He calmed down and landed safely on the ground. Okay, where are the others? He put his claws around his mouth to yell out. Danny. Mandy. Kim. Ron. No one replied. So I'm who knows where in this forest. And I can't find any one of my friends. Well, I had better days. He sighed as he transformed back into his human form. Might as well gym not far from Amity Park. The young Dragonor human began to walk through the forest. Hello? Hello? Frida? Dad? Grandpappy? Manny Rivera, in his El Tigra costumes, leapt from tree to tree. Just a few minutes ago, he had woken up and was confused as to why he was here instead of Miracle City to fend from aliens alongside his family. Now he was trying to find a way to get back home. The young vigilante sniffed the air. A part of his power set was enhanced senses that made him get a whiff of any familiar smells. Can't pick them up with my nose. And my phone king. He noted. Landing on the ground, he discharged his transformation. Just gotta find a cab. He said as he walked away. System reboot. Starting up. Diagnostics check. Processing. Auditory sensors. Online. Power cells. 100%. System repairs. Complete. Good morning, XJ-9. Jenny's optics opened up with a loud yawn from his mouth. The teenage robot girl looked around her surroundings, and instead of a city where alien creeps were attacking, but a different city than the one she was more familiar with, a part of her was worried if things have gotten worse if she wasn't there. So, her built-in TV was revealed from her torso. Dog-ear copy? She asked, but the box was full of static. Great. With no way else to contact her mother, she then tried to reach Brad and Tuck's cell phone numbers, but there was no service. Maybe I should call, she remembered Sheldon. No. Absolutely not. She changed her mind. The robot then used her personal GPS in her processor. She found out that she stayed of Illinois, but for some reason, she couldn't find any trace of Tremonton. Jenny took to the skies and looked across the city. I hope they're okay, she said, worried for her friends and family. KP. Kim. Please wake up. Kim Possible opened her eyes to see the sight of her boyfriend, Ron, hovering over her nearly sleeping form protectively with Rufus on his shoulder. Ron had just came to up seconds before her and tried to revive her. Ron? She weakly asked, starting to regain her bearings. Oh, thank goodness. The blonde hugged her in relief. You scared me there for a second, babe. Helping her up, she was able to see where they were. AT&T moment. Are we at construction site? She asked. Basically, yeah. Ron replied. Trust me, I'm as confused as you are. Where's Jake? The redhead looked around. And Phantom. And the ninja. Ron scratched his head. Sorry KP, I'm as stumped as you. 1 minute we're fighting aliens with them, then that freaky portal thing went ZZZTT. He made an electrical sound. Eared them, now we're here. Doesn't look like Amity Park. Kim observed. At least, not that I know of. Try calling Wade. Ron suggested. Maybe he'll have some answers. I'll give it a shot. Kim took out her device and tried to connect to Wade's computer, but somehow the transmission couldn't show the child computer expert. Okay, now that is weird. What's up? The communicator can't pick up a signal. She explained to her boyfriend. Like at all. But it can call Wade all the way from Timbuktu. Ron pointed out. Is it broken or something? He inquired. I'm not sure. Kim shook her head. The basic functions are working, but when it comes to trying to call someone or to even order some pizza, I'm gonna have to say no. Dang it. Ron snapped his fingers. Could have gone for a slice. Kim motioned her boyfriend to follow her. Come on, let's go see the sights. The first thing Danny Fenton saw was the sight of the clear skies that were over him. He had woken with a huge headache and found that he was on top of a giant roofed open human form. He took out his phone and tried to call his fellow members of the trio. "Guys? Do you copy?" he asked, hoping one of them would pick up, but Tim saw that his phone was auto-terrific. Seeing that there was no other way to get off, he said his catchphrase. "Going ghost." Turning into his ghost form, Danny flew up from the roof and looked around. "Don't recognize this place. Did that portal send me here? And if it sent me, then what about the others?" He wondered to himself. "I hope I find them soon, otherwise, I'll go Kratos myself." "Hello? Anybody?" "Danny. Jake. Kim Possible. The other guy?" Randy called out, walking through the sidewalk, trying to find any source of his comrades. When he woke up, he had taken off his mask and was surprised to find himself in a completely different city. His head was a little woozy from getting sucked into the portal, but able to get his thinking cap on straight. "Man, where's the Nomicon when you need it?" he groaned to himself, berating himself for not bringing it along. "Oh man, what hit me?" Ben 10 groaned to himself as he recovered his senses. He saw that he was in an alleyway that left him increasingly confused. Okay, what happened? Remembered defending his city against aliens, which was something he was accustomed to by now. Then they retreated back in the vortex that they crawled out of. What happened to the simple way of bad guys just giving up when they see me? He asked to himself. Then, the teen superhero saw a newspaper and picked it up. Not only knew that he wasn't in Bellwood anymore, but there was no news article about him, which was extremely weird to him. Even in far-off countries, Ben had seen many newspapers contained an article about his latest exploits. The only way no one has heard of him ever is if, oh no. Oh man. The alien watch-bearing hero groaned in frustration. Please tell me I didn't get transported to another dimension. Marinette has taken blows to the head before, but in this instance, it was the worst one yet. She hadn't prepared for the vortex allowing those creatures to suck her and had know wherever she was now. Eventually, she finally woke up and rubbed her eyes. Good, you're up. She looked to see Cat Noir sitting beside her. They were on top of a building. Was starting to get a little worried there for a second. He said, moving toward you all right. Other than feeling like I've just went through rush hour 100 times, I think I'll manage. She replied. Where are we? Look here. The cat-themed hero handed her a newspaper. Once she saw it, her eyes widened in shock. Illinois. She shrieked. How did we get all the way to America? Hey, your guess is as good as mine. Cat Noir replied. Great, somehow I knew fighting those things was a bad idea. Ladybug groaned. Come on, don't be so negative. Cat Noir told her, wrapping his arm around her shoulder, much to her annoyance. In fact, I've got an idea. Why don't we take a look around? Suggested. Try and maybe find a way back to Paris. Besides, it definitely beats sitting around here all day. The holder of the cat miraculous jumped from the roof and he leapt. Come on, let's check this out. Ladybug decided to follow his lead and jumped as well. Together the duo jumped from building to building, trying to get some information on how to get back home. Unknown to each of them, they were being watched. Once Leader ordered his militant forces to secede themselves from the alternate Earths, he dispatched the hunters of Carnate Arkentas that are made from both organic and cybernetic body parts. They are considered to be the elite of Leader's army, his personal enforcers. They were trained personally, and have been tasked with the job of hunting down and killing the potential threats to his people's clans. Two of them had picked up on about a group that was located in Wet Forest. They had been traveling for a while now, trying to find some for help, but they'll be dead before they get the chance. Jake had been walking through the forest for some time. He was starting to wonder if this forest was endless and he would never leave, then heard some voices near his position. Looking through some bushes, he saw two kids close to his age walking through the woods as well. One was a boy of Hispanic descent with a red hoodie and the other a blonde girl with two pink hair marks on her cheeks and a wand-like object on her hand. So, you couldn't call anyone? Star asked her friend. Marco shook his head. None at all. He confirmed. A while ago, he tried to call any of their friends or families, but the phone service was unavailable at the moment. He even tried dimensional scissors to get home, but each time it just spited them back out, as if some force was keeping them at their current location. Which is weird since my phone is charged. It looks like he wasn't alone in this forest. He contemplated on getting their attention, but knew that he needed all the help he could find. Hey, excuse me. He said as he approached them. The princess and the karate prodigy looked and saw Jake. "Oh, hello there." Star waved happily. "Who are you?" Marco asked with an eyebrow raised. "I'm Jake," he replied. "I'm a little lost. Don't suppose I could travel with you too?" Star gasped and rushed forward to Jake, grabbing him by the shoulders, taking him by surprise. "Oh my gosh. You're lost too. We're also lost. We can be like lost buddies. This so much better, we have a new friend. Hoax." She proceeded to do just that. "Whoa, hold up there, sister," Jake said as he pried himself off her, which was hard due to her having a surprisingly tight grip. "We just met, I just want to get back to my place." "Sorry about that." Marco apologized on behalf of Star. "She's a little hyperactive." Which is saying something. "What are you doing out here?" Jake tried to come up with an excuse. "I was hiking with some friends of mine, but we got separated," he told them. "So back on topic, can I join with you guys?" Before Marco could respond, Star beat him right to the punch. "Of course you can." She smiled, she took both of their hands and pulled them to where she was going. "Come on, too." "Is she always this excited?" Jake asked Marco. The boy could only sigh. "Pretty much." But he smiled nonetheless. "But it's not all bad when you get used to it." Rex was really starting to get really frustrated right now. He had been walking for about who knows how long, and he still hasn't found a way out. What's worse is that he still can't contact anyone from Providence. Just another day in the life of a young agent of Providence. Then he heard something, a rustling in the bushes. "Hello?" he asked. He pulled aside a 13-year-old with brown hair and a scar over his eye. The boy screamed as he pulled back. "Who are you?" Manny asked, ready in case this guy turned out to be a threat. "Whoa, take it easy there, little amigo." Rex seized, surprised by the appearance of a kid, not expecting another human being in this area. "What are you doing here?" Slowly taking his hands away from his belt buckle, Manny got up. "I'm kind of lost." That made the EV-18 chuckle. "Well, that's a coincidence, I'm kinda lost too." He held out his hand. "Name's Rex Salazar." "Kid." Manny stared at his hand a bit warily, not sure if he should trust this guy, but eventually shook it. "Manny Rivera." Then they heard another voice. "Hello? Who's there?" They turned to look at another teenager with brown hair and blue t-shirt with a white M on the middle and held a backpack kept still hidden from their sight. Seeing Rex and Manny, he breathed a sigh of relief. "Oh, thank goodness. Here I was thinking I was the only one out here in these woods. And you are?" "Oh right. I'm Max." He introduced himself. "Rex." "Manny." The EV-18 clapped his hands. He knew if he was gonna get some help, he might as well do it with these guys. "Well, since we're all lost in the deep forest, why don't we try Tooth here?" he suggested. "I mean, unless you guys want to stay and possibly run into a bear," he jokingly said. "Hey, as long as I get back home," Manny replied as he followed him. "Wait up." Max followed after them. The only one who hadn't found a group was Zach, and he was jumping from tree to tree, trying to find some form of humanity, a small town, a city, heck he'd take even a gas stall he cared, just as long as he gets out of here and goes back to Bellwood. But in the time he's been trekking, he's found very little of that. Man, Francis would love this. They definitely would kill to see me in a dire situation that I can't seem to get out of. Might be the only thing that would make him laugh. One hunter was observing him, he was in hand right for an attack. Before Zach could even blink, a missile was fired at him, destroying the tree that he was mounted on. "Ugh!" he grunted as he landed on the ground. "What?" He then saw his new enemy. He had a heavily armored exosuit with black metal as a shell and had a familiar circuit line. The missile was placed on his shoulder and his face covered by a mask that left the bottom half of his face. "Human," it said, pointing its arm laser at the Saturday boy. "In the name of the Dark Enters, you'll die," it told him as he fired a shot at him. "Whoa." Zach narrowly dodged the blast as he rolled out of the way. "You're using the same technology as those aliens from Bellwood," he observed, taking out the claw. "Dark Hunt? Well, eat this." He fired the end of the claw in its grapple function, grabbing the hand of the alien. It in response activated its thrusters, taking off to the skies, tracking Zach Woo-ah. He yelled as he was flying through the air. "Okay, probably not my best idea." As Jake, Star, and Marco are walking, they got the time to try to get to know each other. "So Jake, you're from New York City?" Marco questioned. "Pretty much." Jake shrugged. Marco told me about that place. Star said. I hear that it's full of so many people and has a very big apple. The dragon boy turned to her with a confused look. I think you mean they call it the Big Apple. He corrected. Star then formed a look of realization. Oh. Then turned confused. But it doesn't look like an apple. She pointed out. Jake sent Marco a weirded out look, and he laughed nervously. She's a foreigner. He shrugged. Then, the Dark Ender hunter flew in, and nearly hit all of three of them, if it hadn't moved side to side, trying to rid itself of Zack, who was still grabbing on with the claw. Excuse me, he apologized as he nearly hit Marco. All three gasped at the alien. I know that thing. They all shouted together. Marco and Star turned to Jake, who did the same. Wait, you do? They all asked at the same time. They heard Zack scream in that distance. We can't worry about that right now. Jake said, let's go. He told them as they followed it. Rex, Max, and Minnie have been walking for quite some time and they were starting to get a little tired from their continuous trek. Are we there yet? Minnie complained for the 13th time. The EVO teen groaned. No Minnie, we're not. You keep asking, that won't make things any easier. But we've been walking for too long now. Minnie pointed out. Max put an arm on the boy's shoulder. I'm sure we'll get there soon, Minnie. Then Steele got his attention but kept quiet. Hey Max. He whispered. I'm detecting something coming in hot. Max pulled back and replied. What is it? He asked. Before his alien best friend could answer him, the Dark Ender flew right in between them. Now. Zack grunted as he hit the ground as a result of letting go. Ugh, that wasn't Bull. He looked up and saw the three of them look down at him. Hi there. He waved awkwardly. The Dark Ender flew back and fired about 10 shots at the group, making them dodge and run for cover. Ugh. I hate these things. Rex scowled. Knowing that now's the time Rex activated one of his machines, the block party. However, this act caused Zack, Max, and Minnie to widen their eyes. Minnie breathed before smiling. That is awesome. Rex used his shield to cover all four of them. Zack looked to Max. Who is this guy? Hey, I just met him. Max replied. But he's not the only one with tricks. Right, Steele? Said Robot emerged from his bag. You got it. Let's go, Turbo. He yelled. Steele merged with his chest and in a blue flash, he transformed into his steel suit. Many smiled upon seeing this. You guys are superheroes. Why didn't you say so? He spun his belt buckle around, making his suit appear. Roar. L-Tiger. He branded his claws and leapt at the alien. He slashed its armor, destroying pieces of it. Rex saw the entire transformations and was, lack for a better word, shocked. Okay, didn't see that coming. Rex, disable the shield. Curious as what he was planning, the EVO did so. Go Turbo. Flight. He flew straight at the Dark Ender and with his enhanced strength gave a blow to the gut, making it fall back. Zack was helped up by Rex. Thanks for the help. The young scientist said. Just one question. Who were you guys? That's kind of a long story. Rex replied. Both turned to the alien. Well, answer should probably be for later. Zack said, readying his claw. Let's take care of this guy first. He threw orb-like objects at the alien, creating explosions. Nearby, Jake, Star, and Marco heard all the commotion and saw the four of them fighting the Dark Ender. What in the world? Marco gaped in shock. Jake narrowed his eyes at the Dark Ender. Well, there's a familiar sight. Dragon up. Fire consumed high and he transformed into his dragon form, surprising the two teens. UTW clear. He told them as he flew into action. Marco and Star were quiet for a moment, until a boy broke the silence. What is happening? I don't know. Star replied before grinning wildly. But I wanna get in on that. She raised her wand. Cupcake explosive storm. Frosted cupcakes with sticks of dynamite was the wand and made contact with the Dark Ender, which heavily damaged its armor. Jake then delivered an uppercut to the chin and then a claw to the face. Whoa. Minnie widened his eyes. You're a dragon? Jake turned to him. And you're a tiger luchador. That was awesome. Let's fight it again. Star clapped her hands. You didn't tell me you can do magic. Jake noted. Well, you didn't tell me or Marco that you were a dragon. Star retorted. She got her wish once the Dark Enter roboted from the attacks and fired more blasts at them. Max in his flight mode grabbed him by the arms, pulled him up, he threw him to TH and delivered heavy turbocharged blows in all parts of its body. Jake decided to get in on the fight and unleashed a wave of fire from his mouth. The armor was able to withstand fires, but it couldn't defend itself from more fireball blasts. Getting annoyed, the Dark Enter unleashed its machine gun that fired several bullets at them, but they evaded. The SH also joined. Arriving on his booty pack, he formed his funchucks and whacked it with both of them. Star then pulled back a magical essence of the wand and a magic missile AP, making it look like she was holding an RPG. Making sure not to hit the busy, she carefully aimed only at the alien. She released the missile and it collided with the Dark Enter, its jets, and making it fall down. Oh yeah. Star pumped her fist. My turn. Manny sprinted at the alien, and latched onto its arm cannon. Using his sharp teeth, he bit down on it and tore it right off. Zack used his claw to aim at both staff mode to all angles and delivered a powerful kick to its head. Marco, not wanting to be left out and be seen as useless, decided to lend his own help. He may not have any cool superpower. 16 years he spent in Acapulco's dimension has given him time to perfect his fighting style. He dodged a fist and jumped on its broad shoulders. Using the shoulder cannon, he aimed at the alien himself, making it tumble. Taking out his dimensional scissors, he separated the two halves into daggers. He stacked both of them to open up a fiery portal. Him in here. Rex, though unsure on what he was planning, complied with the order. He landed down on the ground, then formed his BFS. Striking the Dark Enter, he hit into the portal which closed. He opened up to let out the bad guy whose armor was charred and utterly destroyed. Jake and Max landed down and Jake went back to his human form, while Max's mask disappeared. The dragon turned to the brown-haired teen. Nice work. He complimented. Thanks. Max replied, high-fiving the boy. Yep, we've tangled with killer aliens before. Steel said, making his presence known. I'm Steel, by the way. He offered his servo for Jake to shake. The dragon looked at the robot in surprise. Hey. He said, taking the servo. That was super amazing. Star cheered. We won. Thank you, guys with superpowers. My name's Rex. The EVO chuckled, already amused by the princess. So, we beat the bad guy. Manny surmised. It's over, right? Zack approached the Dark Enter. I'm not so sure. He made its head face his own. Who are you? He interrogated. The Dark Enter chuckled cruelly in response. You foolish primitives, you have no idea the wrath you have brought upon yourselves. My people will lay waste to your earths, and all die. He lost consciousness. The group shared a collective worried glance, wondering what he meant by that. Did he just say ifs? Marco asked. As in plural? Tell me what you think.